Liam Delap, deal agreed. There's a lot of news on that. 50 million in Bumo talks. And the Kuna fee is actually revealed and how we're going to pay it and when the installments go in and this, that, and the third. Major United exits. Who's going to be leaving? Everyone's got their price. And there was a little bit on Eze as well, just a tiny little bit. We'll see what happens with that. Owen, take it away. There's a lot to get into, bro.
Yes, there's a lot to get into this morning, beginning with Liam Delap, because Rob Dawson, and this is a lot. There's a lot of conflicting reporting on this one, Flex. When it comes to Liam Delap, so Rob Dawson has said that Manchester United have agreed the framework of a deal for Liam Delap and are now waiting for the striker to decide on his next move. United have informed Ipswich that they will meet the £30 million release clause in Delap's contract if he gives the green light for a move. It continues by saying the outline of personal terms have been agreed with Liam Delap's representatives, and the transfer could move quickly once the striker makes a decision on the future. So this is why we're in deal agreed territory here, because it's an easy deal to do, obviously, with Ipswich, the release clause. They've already told Ipswich, we're going to meet the release clause. They've already agreed the personal terms with Delap's representatives. They know what he's looking for in his contract, etc. And they said, yep, we'll give you that. We're now just waiting on
green
what
light.
Does Delap want to do? Because, I know that there's been a lot of some, saying that they've done a lot of work on actually this Delap deal behind the scenes. And Manchester United, despite what happened last Wednesday, they feel like they're front runners and they feel like they're leading the race. Others, I saw Alex Crook yesterday was sort of saying, well, now you have to consider Chelsea as leading the race because they have something that Manchester United don't, which is Champions League football. So that kind of puts them ahead, almost in theory, not necessarily in action, but in theory. And they're obviously interested in Liam Delap too. He fits their model. So it's really just a case of now.
Newcastle United as well, isn't it?
Yeah, possibly Newcastle. And also it must be said that we've heard for weeks that there's a lot of Premier League clubs interested in him because the release clause is low and he scored goals, etc., etc. So it's really just about who sells him the best project here. Manchester United clearly feel like they can do that. So the deal's been agreed, not just in terms of a fee, not just in terms of personal terms. So it's now just going, right, Liam Delap, where do you want to go? And if he says Manchester United, I suppose critically here, the suggestion is because all of this legwork has been done, the moment he says yes, then it's here we go, done, because everything else has already been agreed to. So this one could be very, very quick. It just depends. What does Liam Delap want to do and how long does he want to take to make that decision?
Yeah, exactly. I think Kieran McKenna said it when I read his quotes, the Ipswich Town manager. He was basically saying, we're going to help Liam with that. And he's talking to relevant clubs. And when they say help, it's just more of an advice thing, really, because there's nothing. Your release clause is 30 million and all these clubs will pay it. So there's not really... Ipswich are not really involved in it that much, really.
So you think Kieran could do us a bit of a favour?
And maybe he could. But then you say that he's brilliant with young players, and he's coached at academy level, and he wants what's best for young players. If he's going to be honest with Liam,
and he might know how bad it is.
He might know how bad it is, and also, but not even as a joke side, but actually, like he understands the pressures of what comes at Man United. He's seen players come through the academy. He's been at first team level with Ollie and Michael Carrick when they were managing or coaching, and McPhelan and that, and he would be telling him firsthand, listen, obviously amazing club, this, that and the other, chance to put yourself on the world stage, even though United are poor right now, but the level of scrutiny, the level of patience you're going to need, the mindset you're going to need. He will warn him. I'm going to say warn him. He will warn him of these things as well, because I don't think Kieran McKenna is the type of manager that, yes, obviously he's got the United links. I don't think he'll just go, you've got to go. It's fine. He'll do both. He'll tell him both. So, and he'll balance up with, Chelsea, high turnover of players. If you fall out of favour, you've got that 8-year deal. Good contract to have, but if you want to move on, and that's a tough club, because they're sort of chew you up, spit you out as well, like how we can or want better. Newcastle United, mate, they've kept Isak. So for your development, let's be fair, you're going to be the new Callum Wilson. That's what you're going to be.
Yeah, because Wilson's going, isn't it? They've said
that's all you're going to be. Yeah, you're going to be the new Callum Wilson, which is Isak. We've got to manage his minutes because we've got a lot of games next year. So you probably get 10 to 15 starts, maybe, but that's at best. Forest, they're coming away from Wood, but didn't get the Champions League, but they're going places. Do you know what I mean? These are all things he has to consider. So Everton, new stadium, David Moyes, good manager. You know, they'd love you there straight away. The
Well,
Evertonians, you know,
you could see a Brighton, couldn't you? João Pedro
Brighton,
looks like he's
João
going to probably
Pedro,
leave. So,
good
you know,
club, definitely a
go
stepping
there.
stone. You're only 22,
Yeah.
2 years, you'd be worth 60 million. You know, Hertzler will keep working with you. There's so much. And, you know, you get pundits that say, if you're Liam Delap, don't go Man United yet. Don't. It's too unstable. Like, you know, go somewhere where you get, well, he would play. He would play every game if he came to us because he'd be the number one striker. That's fine. But the scrutiny.
Would he?
Well, what, if we got another one, you mean? Or Xerxes, maybe?
Yeah,
Just,
you know, possibly.
Might not
possibly. Because that's, I think, the pushback on this signing in general, isn't it? Of like, it's not, this signing's been met with quite a lot of mixed feelings, hasn't it? There's a school of thought of, look, yeah, he's good. He's already scored goals in the Premier League. That's in an Ipswich side that got relegated, and the three sides that got relegated this year are really poor. So if you have managed to get double figures, which he has, you know, that's something to build off of, actually. And in a better team, hopefully with now better players in it that we're going to be bringing in, like Cunha, hopefully like Mbeumo and others, and more chances created. Okay, well, that's an upgrade. And anything's an upgrade because we've got nothing at the moment. You know, we've got, our strikers are Joshua Zirkzee. He's not a striker. He's a 10, and he'll continue, I think, to play as a 10 or at most a false 9 moving forward. You've got Cheeto, who still yet to get a senior goal, and he's really, really young, and he really shouldn't even been playing at this point in time. It's just because we've got nothing. And then you've got Rasmus Højlund, which is, we know, stop-start, shouldn't have been bought for the price that we paid. I don't think initially that was even the desire. The desire was for him to be a backup. Delap is an upgrade, but is it enough for what we need? Because it's still a young person coming in, hasn't played a ton of senior football. You know, we need probably someone still, in addition to that striker that's mid to late 20s, in their prime now.
And maybe they still get that. Maybe they do.
Maybe they still look at that. Maybe
this is really early in the window. We don't know who's going to get
Exactly.
sold. Money could become available you didn't think would become available.
These are just the deals that you can do quickly, and I think this is also the thing. Because look at the two ones that we're going for at the moment. You know, and are furthest along. They're both release clause deals, so they may not know the specifications to get it done. Exactly. And once they're done, it's like, okay, right, we know we can get those ones done quickly. Then we go, right, you know, Mateta. I know you're in your league next season in Chelsea, but you got a year left and what have you. And you're talking about McKenna, whilst he could be talking about you want to stay clear, you can look at it the other way. If you're going to look at it positively and say, I tell you what, mate, this is a great opportunity for you. You know, Man United are rubbish at the moment, but if you get in there, you can turn it around. And like you said, you're going to be playing actually more than you might at some of these other clubs because they're desperate, frankly. And you know, that might be really good for you. And it's a challenge. You know, sometimes we forget about these managers and players. There's selfishness, but there's also ego in the sense of, I can turn it around. Yeah, of course I can. You know, I'd do really well there and I'll become a big player. So, yeah, I'm an advocate for this Delap deal, but I'm not an advocate for that's the only striker we get this summer. I still think we need more, but I think this will be the early one. And then way later on, there might be something where it's like, oh, okay, you know, I dip back into the market and look for another one. But I do think it's encouraging that, you know, 2 deals are effectively done already. You know, it's just a case of, you know,
what's really interesting to talk about is actually Ruben's quotes from the presser that's actually happened in Kuala Lumpur, because this shows actually, or where are they, in Hong Kong or Kuala Lumpur? Where are they?